Buongiorno, 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 buongiorno. Come ha detto lei, buongiorno, buongiorno.
Parte Del Piero, rete! Del Piero!
Pallone con i contagini per Nedved,
Pirlo, la conclusione in rete! Andrea Pirlo! Un gol pazzesco! Del Piero! Gol! Alex! Del Piero! Palla di Pogacar, Pogba! Rete! Un gol incredibile! Pogba fa esplodere lo Juventus Stadium!
Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Turin Giants podcast. My name is Farhad. I'm the host that loves you most. We have edition number 310. I'm joined here by Zach, Frederick, and Kevin from the Mecca. He's coming from Turin in a hotel room. And if you want to see our beautiful faces, you can watch this episode on YouTube as well as Spotify with video. Boys, congratulations. We're back, baby.
Summer didn't seem as long with the Club World Cup, but still, it's nice to get the official Serie A season underway.
Yes, sir.
I think the most important takeaway is after you guys were debating whether the Duzon buongiorno, buongiorno, buongiorno would last and persist. It does survive.
It's still here, baby. It's still here, baby. It's still here. I kind of messed up playing it in the beginning, but Frederick is sitting on some good information. Well, let's get into it, boys and girls. I'm glad you decided to check us out. Follow us on Instagram at Turin Giants, youtube.com/Turin Giants official at the end. Listen to us on all podcasting platforms. We have a nice outline here. Obviously, we'll dedicate the entire episode to the very important first win of the season yesterday against Parma at the stadium where Kevin was sitting and providing us with content on our Instagram at Turin Giants. Thank you for that. We will listen to you. We'll give you the floor. And, I love hearing the stories from the stadium. And you got a little outline there that you will follow. So you'll tell us everything without missing anything. We'll don't let me riff. Don't let me riff.
No
you know
pressure.
what?
I have no pressure.
You're basically telling the listeners how disorganized we usually are. That it's notable that we have an outline today that we have to call it out twice.
By the way, thanks for putting me on the main screen there, Kevin. As we discussed like 6 seconds before we went on.
And now it goes to Zach.
We're smooth as always. I got it. See, people, you see what it takes to bring you all this good information. But you know what? People love it, and we've been getting great feedback. You guys were really happy we're back, and so are we. Let's get into it. You know what? Don't make me talk for too much. Kevin.
Yes.
So you went there for the first game of the season. Tell us all about it.
I had the honor and privilege of being able to get back to the beautiful city of Torino for the opening match. I'm actually coming to you from Germany, Prost. So I had a work trip this week and was able to sneak in an early arrival to Turin first to see the opening match, which I think here we are about 24 hours following the conclusion of the game. And I think we're all kind of excited about how it went. But I think, and I imagine a lot of the conversation today will be just a little bit of having kind of some cautious optimism, but just being patient and seeing how the rest of the season unfolds. Clearly really exciting for us to start the campaign under the Tudor era with a win. I think from something I read this morning that this is the first foreign non-Italian coach to win an opening match since like 1973 or something like that. So really
great stat.
cool to see. Yeah, don't try and ask me who the other coach was, because I have no idea. It was awesome. It was great getting back. I just went to the match with one of my friends and his father. Actually, his dad and my friend's family is originally from Calabria. So I think there's a huge Juventino following in southern Italy, and but they actually live in Bergamo now, where Atalanta is. But diehard Bianconeri. So the three of us went to the match. We just took a bus to the stadium and just went right in to ensure that we weren't missing anything, getting to see the fans, getting to see that the players come into the stadium for the first time, and fresh off the new Armani partnership that was just announced this past week.
Love those shirts,
all the
by the way.
players coming in like really decked out with the Giorgio Armani banners kind of behind them coming into the stadium. Locatelli as captain going into the center of the pitch and greeting all the fans, while the majority of the players just went straight into the locker room. So he was stepping up as leader and kind of confirmly minted captain. Good to see Tudor doing that rather than kind of the Russian roulette that Thiago Motta was playing with the captaincy last year.
So that's a good little segue that we have. So Locatelli, number one, right? Captain number
Followed
two.
by
Went through the
Bremer,
list yesterday.
and then the
And then
trio
Yildiz.
of Thuram, Yildiz, and who am I forgetting?
I only heard
Thuram,
Yildiz.
Yildiz, and
Bremer.
No, Bremer was
he's number
2.
two.
Oh, sorry, and two. Thuram, Yildiz.
Oh, I forgot
think-
2.
Is it not Koop?
Gatti. Sorry,
Oh, yeah,
Gatti.
Gatti.
Yep.
Can
I
you
was
So
going to say Milik.
that was good.
Yeah, Milik.
Energy around the stadium was fantastic. I think the last couple seasons have started a bit odd from a stadium atmosphere perspective because of issues with Curva Sud and the ultras with the management. And like last season, there was that movement of the the Mille Bandiere Bianconere, where flags were still not allowed into the stadium at the beginning of the season, but then slowly but surely they were able to bring it in. There seemed to be no beef between Curva Sud, the ultras, and management, at least something that was truly visible and felt. It looked like there was full support for Tudor, for the squad, and it was great. It was the loudest I had seen the stadium be for quite some time. And particularly as the match started, like those opening 10 to 15 minutes felt pretty electric. And I think I had checked my phone at one point and we were, 75% possession through the first 15 minutes. And it looked like we were actually trying to build upon some of the failures from last season with kind of aimless, pointless possession where it's just kind of back and forth, left to right, without making any runs. Now, as I'm sure we'll unpack a bit, we didn't totally fix that. And there were still elements throughout the match of which history was repeating itself to a degree, but you could see that conviction. You could see some more direct play. There was a moment where it felt like the energy just dropped a bit when Gatti got that yellow card for the first foul.
The haircut?
That he committed. That haircut. That first foul that he committed. I think it was like the 14th or 15th minute. And they got the yellow card. Parma got the ball in a decent position, and the noise dropped. And were we going to see, again, what we had been accustomed to and used to when maybe we had momentum going for us, something stupid happens, we concede a silly goal, and then we're on the back foot. And thankfully, that didn't play out. There was a lot of continued tension with the stadium and the ref as the game progressed, particularly with goal kicks. I don't know how this was experienced through the television, but the goalie, Suzuki, right?
Yeah, Suzuki.
The keeper was doing quite a good job of wasting time on every single goal kick, in which he would pretend that they were going to play it short and then step back, tell everybody to run 50, 60 meters downfield and then just boot it. But every single goal kick took a minute, and it got loud. There was booing. The ref wasn't doing anything about it, had shown us a quick yellow, wasn't doing anything to be reciprocal. And there was a lot of heat. Could you guys experience that on TV too?
Yeah. With regards to the goal kicks, there was a lot of discussion about it from the commentators, and they would at first they were highlighting the rule of 8 seconds and it's a corner kick, and recognized quickly that wasn't being followed, but then was tracking how the referee was managing that. At first, it was vocal warnings. Then it was, the very clear no more sort of overhead hand swipe. And then he started doing a countdown with his fingers in order to ensure that Suzuki picked it up. And this sort of built over the course of the game. It was very clear that the referee did not want to punish Suzuki for it in the first half. But as the game wore on, could see him changing his tack to try to push it forward. A yellow card was eventually shown to Suzuki for it, but fortunately, we kind of were the commentators did a good job. That's what I'm trying to say, kind of walking us through the frustration and the sort of confusion from the fan perspective of this rule that wasn't being followed.
There's a new, they communicated today, as I've heard, the referee department and FIGC, and the new rule that should be generally applied, which never happens with Juventus, but you never know, is that if a ref notices time waste during a goal kick, he has to first give out a visual and verbal warning. So just shouting and saying, hey, this is the last time. Then he has to start doing the countdown. And if the countdown's not followed,
and then he has to draw a picture. And then
no, I mean, this is the order in which they need to decide.
No, I'm not making fun of you. It's kind of ridiculous. You either give it or not.
It is. But they want to make it a bit more let's say formal. I don't know how to put it. So that's basically the order that every ref in Serie A needs to follow.
That's good. I mean, put a process around it so we know what's going on, and it's not left to the interpretation of the referee.
Sorry, go ahead, Frederick.
It will also be applied during throw-ins, corner kicks, and what have you not. Every set piece you can imagine, that rule, or that's what they agreed upon in FIGC, will be applied from now on, just to keep the flow of the game in a more constant pace.
It seemed like the fans, Kevin, were obviously giving Suzuki a lot of shit, literally, for his time wasting, but it seemed like exactly. But it seemed like the fans were a little bit more frustrated, or I should say the players were more frustrated with the fact that Pellegrino never got a card, despite kicking people 47 times.
Unreal.
And no card for him. It seemed to be more frustration and tension around his lack of cards than necessarily anything to do with Suzuki.
I think there was heat, tension, and anger hurled at the ref for all of that. I mean, it was very notable with the goal kicks just because it's prolonged and you're like sitting in it while that's happening. But they got away with a lot of stuff. And I think like the precedent that was set early in the match with Gatti, who did his one kind of hard challenge, which I don't think there was a lot in it, but he immediately got the card. And then there were subsequent other fouls from other Parma players that was not judged equitably, or at least that's how it felt in the stadium. Now, we don't have the benefit of replay and seeing things close up. So sometimes there's I had no idea what happened with Cambiaso, but the fact that there wasn't much of a protest, clearly he had done something that merited that card, but it was really hard to tell what had happened. I guess the last thing I'll say, and then obviously we continue with the rest of our program here and get your perspective. It's just, I think the stadium experience is different, right? You don't get to see things close up. You don't get the benefit of replays. You do miss some things at times, but I think if I were to categorize some of my immediate takeaways on what I saw in that game, first and foremost, Bremer, what a presence. Just total night and day of our defense after throughout the majority of last season and what we saw yesterday. His presence there in the back, him moving around in command, he's a reference point. And from like where I'm seated kind of in the upper corner of Curva Sud, you get that full view of the pitch and you can just see his presence just is so meaningful. And he's going to, I'm convinced that he's going to represent saving one goal a game. We're going to count on him to prevent one goal a game from happening. And we saw that happen after Locatelli's kind of botched through ball that started that counterattack that he ended up saving. That was crazy. So Bremer, amazing. Second, Yildiz, what a star. Had a bit of a slow first half, but really came into the match. Moments of magic, individual brilliance, setting up those 2 goals. That was so good to see. David, really tidy. His ability to hold up the ball, his kind of little through ball, one touch, kind of behind pass flick things that he does in the build-up. Something Dusan can't do, but to Dusan's credit, ended up having a nice build-up play, which ended up with his second goal. I did see us, as I mentioned earlier, I think trying to build upon the lessons that we learned from last season from pointless possession and being able to do something and create chances. We had a lot of chances, comparatively speaking, to what we would have seen in previous matches. The last thing I'll say, and this is maybe a bit controversial, but when Locatelli was subbed off, there was a meaningful dip in the possession swing where Parma started getting the ball more in our side of the half. And you could feel a little bit of the frustration in the stadium that we haven't scored yet. And now all of a sudden Parma's getting some momentum because Coop did not have the same presence. He doesn't have the same leadership. He doesn't have the same passing range, or he hasn't demonstrated it yet. But I will say, clearly Coop had his role in the lead up to the second goal, winning the ball back, and he was tidy. But when Locatelli was not there, our ability to possession and maintain the ball did fall off, albeit we did score the 2 goals after he exited. So I'll leave it there.
Alrighty.
A lot of fun. Can't wait to get back to the Inter match in 2 weeks.
Awesome.
No, that's great that you're going to that match. I think you touched on several things specific to the game. So I think let's formally move on from your experience at the game to game analysis.
If you guys want to catch up a little bit, the stories are still on our Instagram. So all of the work that Kevin did, you can follow along.
And they're fantastic, by the way. So please
tune in by now.
All right, shall we get into the starting lineup? We'll be very brief on this, but there was really only one surprise, I think. Tudor came in, played the best 11, but we saw Kalulu deployed as right wing back as opposed to McKennie or João Mario. Were y'all surprised as I was to see him start in that position?
I think everybody was, right?
I was surprised until later I learned that it was a bit of a jab at management from Tudor.
It was?
Yeah.
Please tell.
Well, basically, he's not very happy in the way that our transfers are going. Not in the sense that he's arguing, but he made it specifically clear, I think, by the end of July, that what he needed for this team to be or to have more depth, and to which management basically obliged and said, okay, we'll get it done. We'll try our best to do it before the competition starts. And given the fact that we started yesterday without, well, let us say, I mean, João Mario is a proper right wing back, but there are basically no alternatives instead of McKennie. And it was a jab at management a bit. It was a bit of a jab.
I just figured that he was maybe wanting to be a little bit more defensively sound to kind of just suss out how we would start the match without being exposed in the back too much, and then bring on João Mario as a spark to add pace. And like, it did play out that way, whether that was the intent or not, that he could be a shock to the system if it was needed in the second half. And it did.
What did you guys think of Kalulu's performance back there in the unfamiliar
Fine.
role.
Well,
Pretty
I think
good,
it
right?
actually, I think it was,
Meh.
it ended up being really intelligent, whether it was intentional or
Mhm.
not, for the reason that Frederic talked to us about. Because, like Kevin said, not only just defensive, but I think more balanced holistically. We talked about in our preseason episode, and a lot of times last year, how dynamic Cambiaso Thuram Yildiz is on the left, and you throw in a center forward who has a little bit of a touch. That's really dynamic. And the question was, would our right side be able to also be as threatening or contribute as much in attack? And I think having Kalulu there over even McKennie, or certainly over Nico Gonzalez, actually provided a little bit more two-way balance, both in possession as well as defense, like Kevin said, that allowed for much of that first half, the right wing and Chico Conceição be more threatening than the left.
The thing that needs highlighting a bit is what I've heard is that prior to the game, I think on Saturday, Tudor had a talk with Kalulu and João Mario together, and said that the choice of his starting midfielder, which he didn't have at that point, will also be in correlation with the choice of who's going to start as a right wing back. And to me, that speaks volumes in the sense that he didn't even consider McKennie for that position 1 or 2 days prior to the game. So that's either two things. You either see McKennie in another position, or McKennie could be on his way out. That's how I interpret it. Second thing is, I find it very nice and appealing that a coach sits down with his players and just gives them a very straight vision about his choices and as to why. It's not something that is expected because you're the coach who make the decisions end of the day. But I find it very comforting that he takes time into letting his players know why he takes or will take certain decisions on the pitch. And he also promised both of them that they will get minutes. So this means that we have a coach who has a sort of a game plan in his head prior to starting the game, but he also knows which pawns he'll put where, as opposed to Mr. Mota a year ago, who did all but play Pinsolio on the trequartista position. So, I mean,
I'd love to see
to
that,
me,
to be fair.
nah, to me, to me, that's kind of reassuring, because as a player, you feel involved in game dynamics, and you also feel considered, which is very important, I think, for yourself within a team. So I think he did good there. And the fact that he gives this jab to management without putting the game at risk, because Kalulu is always a solid option, no matter where you put him. Granted, he'll play better on his natural position, as would everybody. But it's a jab, but it's not a jab that could cost us the game, I think. So
Mhm.
I
All right,
think it's very
let's
balanced of Tudor.
let's see what Tudor said. I saw many positive things this evening in a very difficult match. Though we weren't expecting Parma to be so closed up, I told the lads at halftime to keep this up. We'd score sooner or later. The important thing was not to concede. It was important to start strong. We allowed them very little, but Bremer managed to prevent the goal with that block. David has great movement in the penalty area, which is a rare talent, and is always considered and is always concentrated. Don't know what that means, but yeah, those are the post interview words.
Let's look. I think we're going to spend most of our time this episode. I guess the biggest block of this episode is kind of analyzing why we were so successful. Let's maybe touch on the goals real quick, because I think both of them were fantastic and they do warrant some attention. Let's tackle the goals, and then we can kind of break down exactly the reasons why we were successful, and maybe a couple areas that we need to be cautious about moving forward. Kevin, I'm really. I really would like you to break down that first goal for us, because other than the surprise of it being on a set piece, which we never score on. Yeah, right. Is we never score on a set piece, but that's the first goal of the season. You said that there had been some tension in the stadium. Break down that first goal and give us sort of the reaction or the feeling in the environment of the stadium after Yildiz to David yields this first goal.
Yeah, I think as the first half started, there was this kind of spectrum of emotion of it's the first game of the season. We're all excited to be here. We had good possession. There was intent. There's energy, and so there's positivity. But on the other hand, we haven't scored, and we're having all this possession, and we're not scoring. And is this going to be kind of deja vu all over again, where we're going to keep going, get to the 80th minute, and something falls the other way? And so, like building up to that, you could sense that there is this kind of trepidation or concern that this is a bit fragile, maybe. But then we win the corner. I think Yildiz takes that, passes it out, gets the ball back, and from where I was seated, I didn't have the most amazing vantage point. But so like that's what I think made it even cooler because it was so hard to see what he was doing, how he wedged in behind those players, got to the byline, put the ball in, and
Mhm.
all I see, because it's at the far end of the field from where I am, you could tell that it was David on it, and then I just see the ball rippling in the back of the net. Couldn't tell how he touched it, if it came off his foot, his knee, his hip, his face. Couldn't really tell, but it was there. And then it was just explosion that we finally broke through. It was our new
Mhm.
striker. It came off of a good assist. And we weren't going to let this go down to like the 85th minute for the game to be decided.
That was one of those goals that's not really beautiful, but technically was gorgeous. Everything that was done correctly, right? Am I wrong?
Totally well worked. You know, that's how it's a
Yeah.
well worked goal. Yildiz cutting left instead of right, and then a striker who gets in front of his defender. I had never seen that before.
Getting goal side of the defender, what?
And then with the outside of his butt puts it far corner. So it was
Man,
really
But
it was.
it's sorry, Fart. It's a
I
very
was just.
difficult goal to
Go ahead.
score.
Yeah,
It's a very
that's what I was
difficult
going
goal
to
to score as a striker, and believe you me, I know, because you have to keep your balance. You have to keep one eye on your defender while being pushed or pulled or whatever. You have to keep your eye on the ball and assess the speed of the ball and you know the way it bounces or whatever. So you have to your mind and your body is telling you to do like 500 things at once while keeping your cool and touch it with the exact part of your foot while calculating the speed, the bumps, everything of the ball. It's an incredibly difficult goal to score, and I don't think not a lot of strikers, prolific strikers of this day and age are able to pull it off. Granted, there's a bit of luck involved as well, but the way that he does it is technically sublime.
First goal for Juve in his debut. First goal of the season. You know, we're not going to have to wait for it for too long. So it was a great timing as well for him. Boost of confidence. Yildiz providing the assist is just. I cannot wait to see what they do this season. These two. And the second goal. You guys want to talk about the second goal, Zach? Zach's typing.
Yeah, no, I'm here. Let's talk. We could talk second goal. I think, you know, a couple things on it is, first off, how does Coop fit in this team? Second off, how good defensively is Jalmari going to be? And it's interesting that on the second goal, right after the red card, okay, how is this team going to react? We're down 10 men, only up one. The commentators hadn't even finished setting the scene for our inevitable relinquishing of our victory. Then you have Coop and Jalmario work together to win the ball, kind of in our corner. Jalmario emerges with it, dribbles up, 10, 20 meters, delivers a beautiful cross-field pass to Dusan, who's drifting into space at about midfield. Dusan then, out of nowhere, one touch passes a perfectly weighted leading pass to Yildiz, who's sprinting up.
Who hauls ass.
He does. And he dribbles it into the box, returning a perfectly weighted pass at the top of the six for Dusan to finish, which he does beautifully, and as you would expect a striker to do, to seal the 2-0, the victory.
Buongiorno.
Mr. Buongiorno himself do it. And it just, like, when you think of perfectly executed counterattacks, forget context of Cambiaso, forget the game. This is the type of counterattack that we haven't seen, despite, under Allegri playing counterattacking football in quite some time. It was an absolute thing of beauty. And as much criticism as we've levied against Dusan Vlahovic on this podcast, there's absolute nothing but credit that goes to him for his one-touch pass to Yildiz and his clean finish at the top of the six.
If he gets that pass 10 more times, how many times out of 10 do you think he's completing it the way that he did?
I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to go there because he did what he did. And
Is there no hate today? Is there no
credit to him?
No Dusan hate today?
No.
We'll give him a week. We'll give him a week.
You should check our comments on Instagram, though.
Can we?
So who cares?
Comments. Speaking of comments, Zach and I got a bit of, well, I'm not going to call it hate, but when we reviewed João Mario on the Scoop, we were fairly optimistic, I might say. Zach, are you
Gave him
disagreeing
4
with
out of
me?
5 ice cream scoops.
4 out of 5
highly
scoops.
sophisticated
That's
product of our detailed algorithm.
And we got a lot of stick for it, but if you now look back and you see that João Mario in 3 games was involved in 3 separate goals. I mean, and not just involved in a way that he, just stops the ball and plays it wide or whatever. He was a crucial part of those goals. I think we can pat ourselves on the back, Zach, for that fine algorithmic analysis.
You know what? Alessandro Belpiero pats you on the back.
Thanks, Alex. I also feel that João Mario is an added value, not just because of that, but when we received the red card yesterday, the moment we received it, he was telling everybody to push up front, meaning that he knew our team or our struggles from last year, that we go into panic mode and we go into error mode all of a sudden and we start to lose advantage or possession. He was now the person on the pitch saying, come on, guys, let's push forward, keep the ball back from our goal. Let's just try to score a second one or whatever, be a bit more aggressive. And in the end, it paid off. So for me, I'm not reviewing our transfer market as a whole because we still have a week to go. But for me, João Mario, at this point, I saw him live. I saw him yesterday, and I saw him against Atalanta on TV. He has a very, very, very good influence on this team. If he can work on his defensive skills a bit more, I think we might have struck gold. And that's a lot coming from me being negative Nancy.
Yeah, Mr. Negative Nancy. but I think one thing you see is that we emerged with the ball because of a double team. I think that the plan is clear: is hey, if he needs help, give him help, and that's what happened. Is Coop was there to give him assistance on the defensive side, which is a weaker part of his game, and we emerged with it, and then we allow him to do his thing. We said all along, and we've been very consistent on this, Frederic and I, that going forward, he is very good. And so, I think that shows, and maybe we're giving them too much credit, but I think that shows an understanding of the players, if not also the coach, to help him where he might have some, deficiencies.
So 64% possession. I was really impressed to see that it was meaningful possession. It wasn't just possession for possession's sake. You know how last few years there was a lot of back and forth, side passes, and this was, I know it's Parma. People read the comments online. People are pretty pessimistic still, and it's just a tap in. But it was a Vlahovic goal, which was super important. It was a winning goal, and possession against Parma. They were not terrible. They weren't.
It took until what, like the 75th, 80th minute? Maybe it was a little bit earlier to get their first real shot on goal.
Yeah, they were not very good.
In defense, it was
they kept us out for a while.
It was stacked the box with their players.
There were 10 Parma players behind the ball every time, and Parma knows that makes it difficult for us because in certain positions we lack a bit of creativity.
As always, the goalie turns into prime Buffon against us, and it's.
Well, Suzuki's a good keeper
or something.
He's a good keeper.
But just to give you actually a point of comparison, because we're talking about being more purposeful, despite, I think if we think back, or at least when I think back to our first game last year against Como, I think of it as just an absolute bloodbath, right? We just dominated them, 3-0 victory. It wasn't even close. But when you look at the stats, we didn't have as much possession against Como. We had half the shots against Como. We did not have as many shots on goal against Como. So when you talk about positivity, even against a team that was very structured defensively for a long time, we still fashion way more chances, way more shots on goal. And I think that is two things. Is one, it's a product of Tudor wants to preach, which is whenever you get the ball, think about how to get it towards the goal, which is why you end up with 25 shots, 8 on target. And secondarily, the idea of suffocating press, where at times we had our center backs, almost towards the 18. When you had lead in possession, 60 plus something possession, you almost always see the team with less possession leading in interceptions and blocks and those types of defensive statistics. But Juventus actually led in those statistics. What was it? Interceptions and clearances and duels won, showing that even though we were the high possession team, we would get the ball back immediately. And I think these are really cool, positive hallmarks of his play that were demonstrated really effectively in the game yesterday.
Another thing that I noticed, and it's not my cup of tea because Zach is our tactical genius right here, but if after the game I saw like the interviews and all these things after a game, and you could see the number of kilometers that each player had amassed during that game. And in my opinion and in my feeling, and I Googled it a bit, it was a lot higher than when we were under Allegri or under Motta, which in my peasant mind means that our players moved a lot more. There was a lot more movement off the ball, which for me is significantly a sign that things have improved. Because if I don't want to go back to that period, but because I still have nightmares. But under Motta, you'd see players giving a sideways pass and just standing there like, okay, I gave you the ball, do what you need to do, play it again sideways. Yeah, why not? I mean, so there was no how shall I put it? No purposeful, no intent of going forward, creating, opening up space. While as now, I think I saw Kenan with 8 kilometers or something. Loka when he got subbed off 6. Even Koopmeiners around 4.5. I mean, those are incredible stats. So maybe I'm reading too much into this. I'll leave that up to Zach, but that was my opinion after I saw the highlights and the interviews after yesterday's game.
I'll be real quick on this because we'll move on. I kind of gave my reason for why Juventus played well. I want to hear, say Kevin's his impression from the field. But to answer specifically what Frederic just said, we were promised when Motta joined that there was sort of this positional optionality where there'd be all these rotations, all of these exchanges, this off the ball movement would facilitate meaningful passing that never actually materialized at Juventus. But we are actually seeing that type of movement under Tudor. And we saw it started a little bit at the end of last season, but it was put on display, I think, excellently against Parma, where you would see people changing positions and rotating space in order to facilitate positive possession with intent, I should say. And I think you hit the nail on the head that the off the ball movement has been much higher under Tudor, and I think we have benefited extremely well from it as a result, which should come as no surprise to anybody.
Do you think that backline was a little overkill against Parma? Because I was at a bar watching with our friends and saw some comments online. People were saying, 5 defenders against Parma was a bit much. No,
5 defenders. No, the way we set up was not at all overly pragmatic from a defensive standpoint. I mean, our center backs were, even with our wingers in the attacking third, just outside of the 18. I mean, it was an extremely aggressive forward, high press with a mind to convert one possession into chances. When you look at personnel or formation, it's irrelevant when it comes to offensive, defensive. All of that comes down to how you play, and no part of how we played yesterday was defensive.
I mean,
Well
I guess
said.
if you're looking at the 3 center backs and the 2 wing backs, maybe you're looking at that as 5, but I agree, Zach. That's not really how we played. I think, like, my final comment on why we played well, and I think, Zach, you touched on this towards the end of last season too, that there were glimpses of Tudor was doing what we thought
Yep.
Malta would be doing,
Yep.
and that it is this you're going to dominate possession. There's going to be movement. Players are going to be a bit fluid sometimes within their position. We saw Cambiaso doing his thing, cutting into the middle. You see Jonathan David coming back into the midfield. You saw Yildiz popping up on the right sometimes, right? And players moving. And this builds right on what Frederic was saying. Players were moving off the ball. And so, yes, had really good possession. Players were moving more. And I think we had more of a purpose or idea of what to do with it rather than just pass it in that horseshoe pattern, which we saw endlessly last year.
Excruciating to watch. Listen, we praised the team enough. Now let's move on to the negative Nancy side of it. Surely we saw some weaknesses. What did you guys think about our set piece defense and finishing was not great.
But let me continue on that point though, because I do see this as a weakness that we still need to overcome. While we did score goals, while I think we did see more movement and more chances created when we had possession, our 2 goals still came off of a set piece and a counterattack, not from a period after 15, 20 passes when we were able to find an opening, create a chance, and score. So while I think there was encouraging development, I still want to see us consistently be able to finish off these large spells of possession. And we still are not through that yet.
And that's the weakness I'm going to target, as opposed to our long throw defense, and corner kick defense, which could sometimes be atrocious. But the finishing aspect, when Frederic and I did our scoop review on Jonathan David, the really only negative part, there's only really 2 negatives about his play. The first is he's not really an aerial threat. It's not really been a part of his game. He doesn't win a lot of aerial duels. And secondarily, despite his goal contributions, which are extremely high, and the commentators yesterday on TV said it over and over and over and over again, he's done it with an extremely low shot count. And we said that we need to get him to be a little bit more selfish in the attacking third to get those shots, to fashion those chances or get chances on goal. And I think yesterday a little bit, he was maybe trying to be a little bit too cute with the ball in possession with these give and goes, instead of trying to maybe take a sidestep and get a shot on goal. And I think that is something that a balance that him and Yildiz Conceição and the guys working together are going to have to find, because I want to see Jonathan David to take a few more shots, to use his skill with both feet to try to put pressure on keepers and not simply just be a false 9 passing type striker.
Also, my opinion, from my personal perspective, the 2 negatives were Chico, not as a whole.
That dude has to pick his head up.
Dude, that one run. You're talking about that one run, right? The one run.
I'm talking about a lot of runs. I mean, like he's the type of player that's almost there. Like he's just 2 sandwiches short of a picnic basket every time he makes a choice. Like,
how do you know all these sayings, man?
I watched a lot of Yogi Bear in my day, but
hey, boo boo.
But no, I mean, he always makes the wrong choice when it's at the clinical point. Like, dude, you see the player in front of you, fucking pass it. Like, why another outside movement? Why the forced shot? I mean, these are the things that for me is the difference between a good player and a high level world class player.
He's like Cuadrado, who used to run just run away with the ball, forget where the field is, and Cuadrado would just leave the field.
I mean, and
he would run out of real estate. That's what I was trying to say.
The reason why I'm saying this, and this is echoing a lot of, I think a lot of fans' thoughts at this point, because we paid a hefty sum for him.
Mm-hmm.
So you expect something extra. Like, we know he was on a loan spell last year. We didn't know if he was going to stay or whatever. So it's normal that this comes into a player's mind while playing because it has some mental volume on the player. But now, I mean, and last I'm gonna say is Cambiaso. He has 2-3 moments in the game, every game where he says, "Ah, fuck it, I'm just gonna. I don't know what I'm doing." He loses concentration. He does stupid shit, and it cost us some points last season. And like what he did yesterday again was atrocious because I mean was no reason to make that challenge, and now we're gonna miss him against Inter. So let's hope Kostic delivers. I have to laugh myself, but okay.
All right. Well, let's move on to the man of the match, also known around here as.
I have a very big testicles.
Who's got the largest testicles this game, guys?
Is there a question?
No.
Some
I mean,
games we
there's
go back and
there's
forth,
a second,
right?
but
Yeah.
there's an obvious number one, and then there's a number two.
Let me guess, Kevin. The obvious number one has got to be Yildiz, 2 assists.
Yes.
I think the obvious number 2 is Kefrem Turan. Any disagreement?
Oh, I was going Bremer.
I was going Kefren.
Bremer didn't have to.
I mean,
at the end of the day, he didn't have to do
so
too
there's
much.
maybe a little bit of a debate here, but
Okay.
I'm not going to challenge Kefren. I think he was great, but Bremer saved a goal, which I thought was definitely going to be one. And then again, just his presence time and time again, making the defensive side of our game just so much more solid. But
Come on, the dude busted his eye.
Kefren.
The guy busted his eyebrow first game back. Come on.
I know Farad is not a Kefren fan, like from the
I am
get-go.
now. Hey, no. This is old Farad.
Oh, no,
I am
no.
new and
He
improved.
converted in like February.
I am new and improved.
Okay then, but what was to me was a very advantage was the fact that Turan played equally as good with Locatelli next to him as with Koop next to him. The only difference is with Koop next to him, you saw at certain points Kefren refraining from going forward and holding a bit more defensive position just in case, which shows A, intelligence, and B, the fact that he knows the strengths of the player that surrounds him, and for a midfielder that's a very good quality. So we saw it last season. He was on fire last season, and he just continues to grow, and that makes me feel rather positive because we need more and more leaders in every aspect of the pitch.
When we talked about Kefrem Turan last year, we talked about how much he improved. We talked about his dribbling ability, but we also said his passing range wasn't that great. He struggled when presented with chances, and that Locatelli had to do a lot of the defensive dirty work next to him just by nature of just their pairing. And yesterday, Turan did everything better than everyone except for Yildiz. He led the game in passes. He led the game in passes into the final third. He was second on the team in defensive contributions and first in duels won. So on both sides of the ball, he impacted the play. Locatelli had a great game. In fact, Locatelli was subbed out. What do my notes say? In the 57th minute, and he still finished second in passes. Like from a defensive standpoint and a passing standpoint, Locatelli had a good game. He just was outshined by how good of a two-way midfielder Kefrem Turan was yesterday.
He's going to play Rabiot, I guess, coupled with that bar fight that he had in the Marseille locker room. He's going to take Rabiot's position in the France lineup soon, I'm sure.
He's deserved a look. No question.
Can I get
two a nice round of applause at the stadium last night too?
Could I get 2 honorable mentions for man of the match? That's whoever dresses Lilian Thuram. You just mentioned him at the stadium. He looks like a detective from the 1940s. And got
looks like Bing Reams coming in for like a Mission Impossible. Like he's just like walking.
He's on a mission.
He's got the hat on, man. He's always good.
It looks like he's gonna throw the hat. There's like blades on the side. Or was it from Mortal Kombat? And Gatti's barber. It was like a shockwave around the bar when we saw his haircut. It was atrocious. I was like, he definitely got it in the tunnel. He just didn't have time to finish it. But yeah,
I noticed it at the Dortmund game. It was very visible at the Dortmund game. Of course, who am I to mention baldness? Of course, but
he should go full bald. He should join.
Absolutely,
he should
absolutely.
He should A, join us hairstyle wise, and B, join us on a podcast. I feel Those are the two things that I
Working on
expect
it.
from Gotti right now. So, but yeah,
And you'll
Yeah,
need to
it's
have the
like
three beautiful bald bastards, not
that's
two.
right. I mean, it's either a trip to Turkey or a trip to your local barber, man. Come on, Gatti, you got to make a decision at this point, brother. But yeah, this great breakdown of the game. I feel like I hope you guys enjoyed that. I want to tell the story of my watch party, and then we'll finish with Frederick real quick. He's got a couple of things to a couple of latest news and transfers. So Juventus fan club of Chicago, where I am, first meeting of the season was really fun. It was my family joined. It was an honorable guest who is Maurizio from around Turin. I haven't seen him in a few years. It was great to catch up. We got there early, had a few, free, how he is, got a few drinks. Yeah, drinking 5 beers in the middle of the day. Man, I am not built for that anymore. But that was super fun. Watched the game. Bunch of people joined because they were curious to meet him. Yeah, Maurizio's Maurizio, laid back. He was taking care of business over the phone, and people who were coming to the stadium, he had to manage that. But yeah, it was a great feeling, especially after the win, the first goal, the place erupted. Everybody, like Kevin said, it was just like getting kind of nervy at one point, but once that deadlock was broken, kids were celebrating. It was really special for me as well because my kids surprised me, and I had no idea they came, and my wife drove for like an hour just to be there, but it was totally worth it.
Oh, it's really cool. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
if you guys are in the Chicago area, please join us. I imagine once summer is over, there will be more people joining us. The meetings are always fun, even if there's 8-10 people there. We still have a great time. So join your local Juve fan club is what I say. Special thanks to Maurizio. It's great to see him. If you're going to Turin, there's no better person to contact than around Turin. And they've got a whole thing now with the buses and with the pickups and with stadium drop-offs. It's
Yeah,
amazing. It's amazing what he's
they had a
built.
crew of like 50 people yesterday. He's done a nice job.
Yeah.
It's like
He-
outsourced. Like he's
it-
got people doing this for him now.
Hey, at this point, he's like, but I couldn't, drink and then go to it. He was like, I can't do this anymore, and I have a stable job and a family. I'm too old for this, man. But yeah, it's you may not meet him there, but he's there for bigger games. So if you're traveling to Turin, he just found a place where fans needed help, and he brought the help because it was just awful going to the stadium. You didn't know what to expect. So shout outs to him. Shout outs to everybody who joined. It was really fun. Freddie.
my man.
And now, Freddie Scoops with the scoop. He's the best in the business, see?
Well, before I continue, quick breakdown, because I'm not gonna go into detail because Zach and I have another episode of the Scoop lined up. I think on Wednesday. Zach,
we
correct me if
have
I'm-
3 scheduled over the
Okay.
next 7 days. So
Don't miss it.
Okay.
Don't
for
miss it,
fans of the
guys.
scoop or people who are not familiar with the scoop, well, where were you? But stay tuned. We at least we're going to try to bring you 3 this week, being the last week of the Mercado. All right, Frederick.
Okay. Thank you. Well, just word got in that there was a Mercado summit with Comoli and Alcon and Tudor involved, and Juventus decided to go all in for Colomwani regardless of outgoing transfers. That means Vlahovic, Nico, whoever. Alcon said, I'll back that financially, which is a good thing, I hope, if we don't spend another hopeless amount. But why is that? Because in Tudor's head, and this is the reason why they decided to go all in for him, is he wants to play with a sort of tridente with David alongside Colomwani and Yildiz behind them, which would be awesome. The rest
That
of
is
the
dirty.
that is
dirty.
I like that.
Keep
the
talking,
rest
Daddy.
the rest of the squad not so much up until now. But yeah, I mean, we have to start somewhere. And
Is Juve the meme of the horse, the hand-drawn horse?
I wouldn't say, but what I do want to say is that we are really the things that we are doing right now, even though we're not doing a lot, is beneficial for our future. And I would just want the fans to know that, because anybody can take out a loan and splurge a lot of money and hope that players will do their best. And if it doesn't work out, you're fucked. So Komoli has a long-term vision, which proves again why they want to go all in for Kolomwani, because of course you'll lose Vlahovic either this season or the next. I mean, that's the only certainty that we know now. There have been talks with Zegrova's agent. Zegrova also today liked an Instagram post from Kenan.
Uh-oh.
Is that a coincidence? I don't know.
You know, like is
but-
always the first step.
Yeah.
I mean, it's starting to get there, but they've been in constant contact, so I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes our double for Chico and or Yildiz, because he can play, like I discussed with Zach the last time, on both positions. And then there are some offers trickling in. Latest I heard is that an offer will be presented for Nico Gonzalez still today, an official offer from Atletico Madrid, and also one for our American buddy, Weston.
Oh, this is the first time we've really heard of any concrete movement on his front, despite
It's been very
only a year
cold.
left. It's been very quiet from McKennie with only 1 year left. So, you have any details on that, or are they going to have to? Listeners going to have to wait till the scoop.
I think it's better for them to wait, because I don't have the details, so I'm not gonna pull a clickbait X journalism type of title. But I know that there are four teams that have been in contact with Juventus, but nothing solid has happened since then. But something has arrived now, which is very concrete. But I am not aware of the team nor the league that they play in. I just know it's a very concrete offer, and we'll see how it unfolds. But given the fact that our Mercato meeting started at 3:30 this afternoon after the afternoon practice, and it ended half an hour ago, I think that's meaningful, because if you aren't going to do anything, then there's no reason to talk 7 hours. So we'll keep you posted on the scoop.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, please don't miss our the show that the boys do on the side, the scoop. There's like ice cream, and there's pie charts, and Zach goes complete nerd mode, and I love it so much. Temperatures, and they put a lot of work into it, and there's reliable information. So please don't miss the scoop that comes out on this same channel. Boys, thank you so much for joining. I think this is it's a good part to say goodbye. Great win. Next one, Genoa on Sunday. We will have a post episode for that as well, of course. Boys, thank you so much. Let's bring back the classic, shall we?
And I can confirm that they're still using Thunderstruck to bring the players out at the beginning of this.
We just played it today
training.
with my kid in the car.
I thought they changed it. It's been like 4 or 5 years in a row.
We need to suggest our songs for the warm-up in the next episode.
The drums beating my heart, the thunder of guns tore me apart. You've been thunderstruck.